Oh boy, another hot one. 100-degree day today. I'm out here picking up trash. I actually had a roll-off dumpster dropped off over here on my land on the 100 acres, and we're getting rid of a lot of these big scars that have been bothering me and my wife since we bought this place. We've been, so far, we've just been picking up little, a small residential trash can worth at a time, and it's just taking us forever. So I went ahead and rented one of these roll-offs, and I've been working on that. But boy, it's a windy, hot day, so it's making me work for it. But anyway, that's not what the video's about. As I was working, I was just thinking about the, what would you say, the weirdness that's going on surrounding the Trump shooter, okay? I can't remember the dude's name. It doesn't matter what the kid's name was. And I keep saying kid. He was technically 20 years old, but people that are 20 years old today, in my opinion, most of them are still kids. So if you hear me referring to him as a kid, don't be offended by that. That's just how I think of younger people in this Gen Z or whatever the hell this newest generation is. Anyway, there's a lot of more weird stuff that's come out about that. And, I was going to make another video about it, and then I just ended up getting into brush hogging and stuff. And I was like, man, sometimes it's not worth it. There's so many people out there that are just, I guess trying to capitalize on this tragedy, where the president almost got assassinated. But I had to make a video about this because when I saw this last night, I was like, oh my God, it's true. So the very first video that I made about the Trump attempted assassination, I mentioned that it smelled like MK Ultra, the CIA's old program, MK Ultra. And I talked about in the video how we got to be really guarded not to let our guards down over time. And just because something happened, 40, 50 years ago or whatever, and we assume that, oh no, they would never do that today, right? That was back then. That is a dangerous game to play. These people in these alphabet shadow agencies, these clandestine organizations that are operating inside the United States, for one, CIA is not supposed to operate domestically at all, as far as my understanding, but they do. And anyway, they get away with this kind of stuff by changing the names. So MK Ultra turned into a different program, turned into a different program, turned into a different program, until the media and the people that were curious about it either died of old age because nothing ever came out, or they just lost the scent. They lost the trail, right? They stopped looking for it. And it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. We just haven't, we'd have to fast forward into the future like 30 or 40 years and have someone file the right Freedom of Information request to even find out if what's going on now is what as I'm saying it, like they are still operating some sort of an MK Ultra program, and it's just not called that anymore. It's mind control, okay? It's basically a Manchurian candidate where they can, send a signal, or back in the 60s and 70s, they were using LSD and other psychedelic drugs, and they were giving them to these people that were unsuspecting. They didn't know they were getting drugged up. And then once they were drugged up, they were filling their minds with all sorts of imagery and different things to program them. Has anyone else ever thought about it and spent a little bit of time thinking about how they call it TV and radio programming? I have. I've thought a lot about it, and it's one of the reasons that my wife and I, we barely watch any TV. We do watch movies and stuff like that, and I guess, really, in reality, that is programming as well. So you have to be very careful in this world what you put into your mind, because programming exists. And that whole thing, MK Ultra, ties in with you might say, okay, well, fine. The CIA used to do mind control stuff and they admitted it, right? So how does that affect everybody else? That was just a limited group of people. Oh, no. Contraire, mon frere, because they had another program called Operation Mockingbird, where the entire objective of the CIA was to infiltrate all news, media, and entertainment organizations and get their messaging out there. And what I find very interesting is when you look back through the history of the United States, right after Operation Mockingbird was put into place and probably well established, that's when the MK Ultra, the LSD, the what's that, Laurel Canyon, that place out there where all the rockers were out in California, and they had a CIA base there. I mean, I'm telling you guys, the CIA has their hands in a lot more than you might think. So why am I talking about this? How does this relate to the Trump shooter? Well, I'll tell you how. Last night, I saw something that really was alarming to me. I want you to let me know how you take this down in the comments. The CIA came out and went to the news media and told the news media that they've heard the rumors going around the internet that this guy was part of Project MK Ultra, that this guy, the shooter, was programmed, and a Manchurian candidate programmed by MK Ultra, right? And the CIA says, no, that doesn't exist. So you tell me when the last time you heard of an agency as big as the CIA addressing any so-called conspiracy theories. Everyone in politics knows that even if someone accuses you of something that you actually did, if you ignore it long enough and you don't address it and you change the subject and stuff like that, then it eventually goes away. So my question to you is, why now is the CIA coming out to the news media and saying, oh no, this guy wasn't Operation Mockingbird, or I'm sorry, I keep saying Mockingbird. I got Mockingbird on the mind. This guy wasn't MK Ultra. Oh no, we had nothing to do with it. We didn't even know the guy. You tell me what the fuck is going on. I mean, this has been just wild. Never in history have we had a presidential election like this, the leading candidate getting attempted to be assassinated. And guys, hold on to your hats, because I think round one of the assassination attempt on Donald J. Trump was just the precursor to things that could be coming. If this really, let's put it this way, if the guy what truly was a lone gunman, he was just a crazy kid that got, probably inspired by a lot of the stuff, the rhetoric that the left has been putting out, Trump's going to kill democracy, Trump's Hitler, Trump bad, Orange Man bad, Biden, Silver Man good, Dementia Man good, right? So if he fell into that narrative, that is still a type of programming, even though it may not be directly connected to the CIA. You may not be able to follow that up the chain, but I think you see my point. Either way, the kid was programmed. It's just whether or not there's other more nefarious stuff going on in the background, okay? Whether or not he was actually instructed to do it exactly the way he did it and allowed to access that roof. I mean, guys, I told you early on in one of those videos I made about this, that in the end, we're going to know less than we knew in the beginning. And so that's one of the reasons I've been hesitant to make a whole lot of content about this, is that every day new information is coming out. And I actually just heard something earlier today on Steven Crowder's show. He was saying that now Google is basically, what did they call it? It's like a shadow ban type deal. When you go onto Google and you search for the assassination attempt of Donald J. Trump or try to find out any information, Google is apparently, according to Crowder, scrubbing the information. So, I mean, does that surprise you? Does that remind you of the election interference that Google participated in before 2020, where they suppressed the Hunter Biden laptop data and all that? And many people said that, even Democrats said that, hey, if I'd have known about that Hunter Biden laptop stuff, I probably wouldn't have voted for old Joe. So it could have been the difference of a Trump victory versus a Biden victory, right? So, I mean, shit is getting wild. Biden announced he was going to drop out just last weekend? And the weird thing is that the entire time up until that point, he's been saying, oh no, I'm sticking with it. I'm not going to drop out. No way. I'm there to the end. I'm going to beat Trump. I'm the only one that's qualified to run this country and beat Trump. That's what he's been saying. And then all of a sudden he drops out and they put Kamala in. And the most ironic thing about this entire deal is how these people have been saying that Trump is going to end democracy or end America or whatever and become dictator for life. Well, let me tell you something. The Republicans had a traditional primary, right? Where Vivek Ramaswamy and, Chris Krispy Kreme and all these others and Oh, the China lady. I can't remember her name. Uh, all sorts of people were running against Trump for the Republican nomination. And in the end, they selected Trump because that's freaking democracy. Now, you tell me again, how many votes did Kamala get? Zero. Zero. They already had their Democrat primary at the, around the same time or at the same time that the Republican primary was taking place. So they didn't have anybody. They could have picked RFK Jr. or they could have picked somebody else, but they didn't. They went with Joe Biden because the DNC had it all set up where Joe Biden was going to win. And now Kamala just gets to come in and by appointment. That's the problem. I'm sure if you're a hands-on channel follower, you've already read between the lines, but that's what I'm getting at. Kamala Harris, if she's elected as president, or even to run as president, now she has been selected by the party, not the people. That is not democracy. That is not even close to it. So these people are just so freaking hypocritical, it makes your head spin. But anyway, yeah, the main thing I wanted to talk about today was that wild story I saw last night where the CIA is denying any kind of connection with this shooter and related to MK Ultra. Completely hit me out of left field. I was like, what in the hell is this? Again, these organizations don't go around discrediting every single conspiracy theory that's brewed up on the internet. So why now? That's my question for you. I really don't have an answer, except for I can tell you this. This is the way it makes me feel. I have no proof of this. But when I see the CIA acting like this and trying to cover tracks where tracks don't even necessarily exist, it makes me think they're fucking guilty of something. Okay? They're trying to cover up something. Whether it was that or not, they're trying to run cover. So that doesn't give me confidence in that organization or their leadership or anything like that. On a good note, I am glad to see that Cheel resigned. She was forced to resign. Democrats and Republicans in Congress were attacking her and saying, hey, you screwed up. You damn near got a president or a future president killed. What do you say about that? And she had no answers. It was all BS. All of her testimony was like, oh, well, we'll see. The investigation is still ongoing. I can't tell you anything. And that's what they do all the time. They get away with that crap. And even when, I get so sick and tired of seeing, these probably because I watch them on YouTube, I get recommendations all the time where they're like, Ted Cruz grills Anthony Fauci, Rand Paul rips Fauci a new one. And that's all great, and it's fun to watch those things. It's like entertaining, sort of like a soap opera to watch these things. But the problem is nothing ever happens. Nothing happens. How many days in jail or minutes in jail has Fauci spent from all those hearings where the Republicans were ripping him left and right and up and down the center? None. There are no repercussions to these people. They're all up here, we're down here, and the law only applies to us. They're above the law, see? They can do whatever they want. Or at least that's what it seems like. At least that's the way it is currently under the guy that can't run for re-election, but somehow can finish his term. Makes no sense. Everything about what's going on right now in the Democrat Party makes me think they are so scared of Trump and so desperate. Look out, guys. I think they will try to get him again. I think it may not have been Joe Biden. It may not have been the director of the CIA. It may not have been anybody in the FBI or whatever, but they all had a little hand in it. They may not have been the ones that pulled the trigger, but they all had a hand in it. That's what I think. They tried to kill Trump. It wasn't supposed to be an earshot. It's supposed to be a fucking headshot, JFK style. And I think the reason that they set this kid up to do this and allowed him to do this was because they wanted him to shoot the president in the head, or the presidential candidate, Donald Trump, in the head. Why do they want that? Because it's super graphic. If, a 5.56 round going into a man's head on live TV would have been slowed down, played in every different angle. It would have been super graphic, and they would have been able to say, see, we told you the AR-15 was super dangerous. We told you. We tried to ban them, and you Republicans didn't want to ban them. I think that's what they were going for, guys. I think that's what it was. It was a way for them to, for one, eliminate the guy that they haven't been able to get rid of with lawfare and, impeachments and having the entire leftist mainstream media go after him. Operation Mockingbird is still in effect. They're called leftist mainstream media. And again, guys, back to what I was saying earlier. I'm not trying to tell you I have all the answers. I don't have them. We'll never have them. That's what I'm telling you right now. But based on Occam's razor, I can look at the path of least resistance and see the most likely thing based on the history of the United States. And the most likely thing is this was a setup. This was a setup. They planned on killing Trump and eliminating him from the presidential race. And I think they're going to try it again. So I hope I think he's brought in some private security, and I hope he has, because at least the people that run the Secret Service are not on his side. The Secret Service agents that stay with Trump all the time, they're probably his buddies and stuff, probably like family, sort of. Those people are not the bad guys. It's the ones at the top of the heap that are taking orders from somebody. Maybe it's Barack Hussein Obama. Maybe it's George Soros' son. I find it odd that I don't know if anyone noticed this political alignment that just happened here recently, but Alexander Soros, the heir to George Soros' money and the future of the Soros dynasty, just married Uma Abedin, Hillary Clinton's right-hand lady from back in the day. So that is a political dynasty that just formed. I don't understand why the guy would marry someone that's like 10 years his senior or whatever. She's quite a bit older than him, except for it's the optics of it. They want to align the Soros and the Clinton and the Abedins and the Wieners and all the other super extreme leftists under the Soros label. And notice, Alexander Soros is promoting Kamala Kami Harris. So I told you a while back, things are going to get wild, and I expect they're going to get a lot more wild. Last night, I don't go to movie theaters anymore, but last night I was flipping through YouTube, and I saw someone uploaded the new movie Civil War. I mean, it's probably out on DVD by now or whatever, or out on download services, but to see it on YouTube for free was pretty impressive. And I watched it. It was actually better. It was a better show than I thought. I think it's worth a watch, but don't think that it's all about Civil War. It's really not. It's more about the reporters and how they get the stories and things like that. But it was interesting, and it showed a different light to the journalists that I'm more. It's unusual because I'm not used to seeing that side of them and stuff like that. And if it's even remotely true, it's a very interesting movie and it's worth the watch. But in my opinion, a real Civil War would look nothing like that. Nothing like that. It would be a lot worse. A whole lot worse. They would show in that movie, you'd go to one town and it was a war zone, and the very next town there was nothing going on. They had lights on, everything was normal, and they were just acting like nothing was going on. In some cases, I think that will happen, but in reality, because we're so dependent on the supply chain, if any one of these things like the highways or any kind of the travel, the railroads, any of that stuff got blocked, I mean, people are going to start starving pretty quickly, and then they're going to start killing each other for those limited resources. So I hope you guys are prepping up. I'm afraid that, or let's put it this way, I suspect it's going to get a lot worse. I suspect it's going to be another repeat of 2020. They probably had a little poll internally in the Biden cabinet and the people around Biden, his handlers, his puppet masters. They probably had a little poll, and they said, hey, we're going to steal another election. Who's going to do it better? Joe Biden? Who are we going to be able to get away with stealing the election with? Is it Joe Biden or is it Kamala? And they probably decided Kamala, because obviously they're all behind her now. So, that old saying, may we live in exciting times. Boy, is it playing out right now in high definition. So I hope you guys are paying attention, but at the same time, don't obsess about it. Get out there, get on your tractor, get in your property. If you don't have a tractor or a big property like I've got, get out there in your backyard and start planting some crops. Get yourself some rabbits, get some quail, get some backyard chickens, you know, at least for egg production, man. Anything like that you can do now may be the difference of life or death after the 2024 election goes sideways. Because I really do think that we're closer than we've ever been to an actual civil war. I hope it doesn't happen because I think it's going to be a lot worse than any of us are prepared for. So anyway, I think we've gone on long enough. I've avoided the inevitable long enough. I've got to get out here and pick up some more trash. I appreciate you guys tuning in. As always, I stand for liberty to the bitter end. It may be coming soon.